Dubuque is Iowa's oldest city, and along with our history comes the reality of hundreds of homes containing lead paint. Even though lead paint was outlawed in residential housing back in 1978, it still exists here today, and it's still causing problems for many Dubuque residents. Hi, I'm Randy Gale, and I'm joined today by Kim Glazer, the city's Healthy Homes Program Manager. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, can you start by giving us a brief overview of the Healthy Homes Program?
Sure. The program has been in existence since the early 1990s. It's had various funding sources over the years. Initially, it was funded from a state of Iowa grant, and it has grown over the years and has been funded several times by the Federal Housing and Urban Development Department. Currently, in November of 2015, the program was funded again. We received $3.2 million, of which approximately $2.9 million will be directed specifically towards lead hazard control. And then there's $325,000 in the budget that will be directed specifically to health and safety deficiencies in homes. So it's kind of a dual focus program, and that's something that HUD is moving towards, not just addressing lead hazards as it had done in the past, but going into looking at a home, residential property, as a comprehensive structure. You know, we want to address lead hazards and health and safety issues in the home. So currently the program will be looking at doing 129 units in the city limits. Those units could be residential single family, they could be rental property, also single family or multifamily. So we're able to serve any residential property in the city. Our primary focus is residents that house children. Our specific target is children under the age of 6. So we're prioritizing those types of homes first. Also pregnant women, are a priority also. If it's a multifamily, there are instances if the other dwellings are occupied by income qualified individuals that we could do the entire rental property. So it's kind of depending on each situation. But yeah, we want to be available for any home in the city that was built prior to 1978.
Okay. Now, the fact that Dubuque's Housing and Community Development Department has a division devoted to this issue suggests that it's a significant problem locally. How many people in Dubuque does this issue impact?
Well, just a few facts. In the city, there are approximately 4,200 children under the age of 6. Now, 75% of these children have been tested and confirmed to have a blood lead level greater than 5 micrograms per deciliter, and that's the measurement they use. And this level is a new level of concern for the Center of Disease Control. They have seen anything over this level to have detrimental health effects to children. And some of the negative health effects to children are motor skill, lesser motor skills, development skills, lesser IQs. There's actually studies that show approximately 15% decrease in reading and math scores. Recent studies are even showing correlations between lead poisoning in children and later life dropping out of high school and committing violent crime. It's pretty amazing. These studies have really direct correlation. So there is some specific evidence that lead paint is detrimental to children, and it carries out through their lifetime. And I should also add that even adults have some, there are problems in adults that are exposed to lead either in their work environment or maybe in their hobbies. Some people in hobbies like make fishing sinkers or work around lead, and they are also prone to health problems. It can affect their kidneys and their nervous system and their nerves. So there is problems also associated with lead in adults, but it's not as prevalent as that in children because of children being in the developmental ages and still growing in their organs and such. So it is much worse in children, and that is who our priority is towards.
Kim, how would you describe the Lead in Healthy Homes program to the average person?
What I love about the program, and I'm very proud to be a part of it, is because we look at each residence as a comprehensive entire structure. We're going in a home, and we want to serve and make the whole environment better for the family that lives there. We are looking, as I said, not only at lead hazards. I mean, we do a complete environmental investigation of homes. We have an XRF analyzer that tests all surfaces, walls, windows, doors, floors, ceilings, and it detects the presence of lead. Now, lead in itself is not dangerous unless it's deteriorating. Peeling, chipping, deteriorating, that is where a lead hazard exists, and that's what we're intentionally looking for. When we're seeing these lead hazards, that's where we're determining, how we're going to be able to improve the structure. And not just only lead, the Healthy Homes component brings in another comprehensive inspection as far as looking at electrical hazards, plumbing and moisture hazards, pest infiltration, keeping the structure dry, which is moisture infiltration and any leakage there. There's 8 specific Healthy Homes priorities that we look at. And we also add energy efficiency into the equation. So we want to make sure that when we're doing our inspection, we're looking at things that might be causing the structure to be inefficient and, the occupants occurring or receiving more higher energy bills.
Sounds like a very comprehensive approach to it.
Yes, it is. And it's, like I said, we also partner with the Visiting Nurses Association who are in contact with our clients. And they're looking at any health or dental potential. If any individuals in the family need any medical or dental services, the VNA can do some referrals. They're also looking at any social issues in the home where maybe they could also offer services. So it's household centric. It's looking to make sure the family, is receiving as many services. We're looking at ourselves as a hub for services. So what we can provide to this entire family, to make their living environment better.
You talked a little bit already about funding, but how is this program in particular funded?
It is funded through the Housing and Urban Development Department, and part of the funding, again, is for lead hazards. So we, on average, have $14,200 per residential unit for addressing lead hazards. And then for the Healthy Homes, we have approximately $2,500 on average per unit. So it could be, greater than $16,000 and upwards that a family or, potential occupant could receive.
So those are all federal funds that are coming
Yes,
back
they
to our
are all
community.
federal funds,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Is the Lead in Healthy Homes program connected to the Green and Healthy Homes program?
It is. The Green and Healthy Homes Initiative is a national movement. We joined as the 16th site, and I think currently they have upwards of 25 sites. But that is where they're trying to collaborate more services. The Green and Healthy Homes Initiative is trying to make sure that we're aligning services, giving each client that we work with the biggest bang for the buck. They want us to partner, with the Visiting Nurses Association. We partner with the Community Development Corporation and the Washington neighborhood, a lot of the neighborhood associations, the North End neighborhood, some of the energy providers, Black Hills Energy, the school district. So we have a great partnership. Even most of the city departments also, police and fire and waste. And so we work together, again, to make sure we're providing this family that we're working with the most bang for the buck.
Okay. Now, some of our viewers may be as they're hearing this, they may be looking around their own home or thinking about a friend or a relative who may have these issues in their home. How does someone know if they have lead hazards in their home?
Well, the key target property is anything built prior to 1978, and that is when lead in manufactured paint was drastically and significantly reduced. So Structures built before 1978 have a very high likelihood of lead paint. When you are looking at your windows or maybe doors and trim and you see the paint chipping and peeling, a lot of times it's kind of like an alligator pattern that it's chipping into. So if you live in an older home or property built before 1978, there is a high likelihood that you do have lead, and if the paint is chipping, peeling, deteriorating, then there's very high likelihood of those lead hazards being in the property. And the biggest thing with the peeling, deteriorating paint is that when the windows are being lifted up and down, there's lead dust, and when the paint is chipping, it's falling on the floor. And obviously children under the age of 6, they play on the floor, they have toys, pacifiers, a lot of hand-to-mouth activity, and that is primarily the cause of the lead poisoning in children. So much hand-to-mouth, picking up things, putting food on windowsills. So if there's chipping, peeling paint, people could definitely have the hazards there and their children could really be in danger of getting lead poisoning.
So if a Dubuque resident would determine that they may have this issue in their home, what should they do to take advantage of the services offered through the Lead and Healthy Homes program?
Our program is strictly voluntary, so they would just need to contact us at the City Housing Department. Our assistant takes all of the calls, and we have applications to be completed. We just need to verify income because it is income qualified, and then we would try to see if there's children in the home. But just fill out a complete application, and if you do qualify, we're able to schedule an inspection.
Let's talk about that process for a minute, the inspection process. What do staff actually do when they go to a home to determine if there's lead hazards there?
There's currently 2 inspectors. They work as a team. They would go to the property, and like I said, it's a comprehensive inspection. So initially, they're kind of looking at the exterior environment, seeing if there's anything in the neighborhood that might be causing environmental issues. Sometimes it's toxic issues, could be noise, it could be drainage. So first they're looking at the outside of the property, and then they would enter the property and begin to do the inspection, which, as I said, includes the XRF analyzer that they go room to room, surface to surface, and test. The second inspector would be beginning to do the Healthy Homes, where they would also go room to room, checking outlets, checking plumbing, electrical, mechanicals. They're in every room of the house. They're there a significant amount of time. Typically could be up to 5 hours. So it is very comprehensive. And we try to, at the same time, bring our visiting nurse associate with us, and she would work with the family member and kind of ask questions to see if there's services she could provide. So it's kind of a 3-purpose inspection: the Healthy Homes, the lead, and then the visiting nurses doing the other services.
Okay. So then what's the next step? If hazards are identified, does the city hire the contractors? Does the resident hire the contractors? How are they mediated?
The inspectors develop a work plan based on the hazards that they see. In Healthy Homes, because we have a limited amount of money, $2,500, they do have a HUD rating system they're required to utilize, and this system determines what hazards have the greatest likelihood of happening and the greatest likelihood of harm happening. So they have to rate the hazards. So that determination, then they would develop a work plan, what lead hazards to be addressed. We actually have to address all lead hazards, and then what health and safety issues based on our funding we could address. The work plan is put to bid for certified lead abatement contractors, so they do have to take a certification course. And then it's usually bid amongst 2 to 3 contractors, possibly even up to 5. And then we review the bids to make sure everything we have specified is covered. And then, the homeowner would choose the contractor, or we would work together to choose the contractor. And the project could begin. There is a law that the individuals cannot be in the property when the work is going on because of the hazards of the lead. So we do relocate our clients, and that is at no cost to them, and we have units available. So, we do take care of the individuals that have to move out of their home because we realize that is an inconvenience. But
are there different qualifications, or are there different standards for homes that are occupied by the homeowner versus rental units?
There are not. I know some programs have that. We do not. We view our program as just a vehicle to really make our citizens' homes healthier and safer, whether it is owner-occupied or whether it is a rental program, rental unit.
So if a renter thinks there may be some of these hazards in their apartment or duplex or rental home, would they contact the city directly, or is that something they need to go through their landlord for?
They really should go through their landlord. The landlord would have to be willing to allow the property to go through the program, which typically they are interested in the program because it is forgivable funds. So it's not funds that we're looking to have paid back. So, but yeah, the rent tenant should at first discuss it with their landlord. It would be the landlord having to do the application.
Kim, you've talked about people need to be income qualified to receive these services. If some of our viewers are watching and think they may have some issues in their homes or know someone who does, are there any basic guidelines in terms of income qualifications, or how would they find out if they may be qualified?
Yes, these levels are determined by HUD every year, so they do change every year. And it would be best to call our office and ask our assistant. She would have the table. It's 80%, less than 80% of the area median income. So it depends on the size of your household, and then there's a chart that we follow from HUD that would determine if you fall within the guidelines.
Those federal guidelines. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We've talked earlier in the program, you talked about how many homes there are in Dubuque and how many were built before 1978. Do you foresee a time when lead hazards will not be an issue in Dubuque, or is there a long ways to go? Where do you think we're at in the process of addressing all these issues?
There's a long ways to go, and I believe initially HUD had hoped lead hazards would be eradicated by 2010, and we obviously are not at all near that mark. Just to kind of reference that, I just have some figures on the housing stock in Dubuque, so I'll just tell you, and it just kind of reiterates the point. The city of Dubuque has approximately 24,000 residential structures. Of those, almost 20,000, like 83%, were built before 1978. And of that, 36%, like 8,500 of them, were built before 1940. So we have very old properties in Dubuque. We're very proud of that, and we want to keep them in, well maintained and up to standards. So these older residents are filled with lead paint, and with our funding in the past, we've only made 1,150 residences lead safe. So it's only about 6% of actual properties that have a high propensity to have lead paint that we've actually been able to, do our remediations in. So there is a long ways to go. We feel we will continue to request funding from the federal government, and we're looking to make our program sustainable. We know there is still a lot of issues in Dubuque that we want to take care of. And we hope someday to be, where we could say that we have eliminated lead poisoning. That would be, definitely what we're hoping and going for. But we've got a long way to go.
And kind of along those lines, is it an issue where not enough people know about this program, or do you have a waiting list of properties?
We do have a waiting list.
Okay.
It is first come, first served, because we do require information to determine the eligibility based on your income and such. So, the applicants do have to provide information to us. But once we have that, it's first come, first served. But, we do have a lot of people very interested in the program. But, like I said, we're slated to do 129 properties in the next 3 years. So, we will get to plenty of the people needing the service.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a great program doing some very important work.
It is.
It's impacting a lot of people thanks to the many partnerships that you mentioned and, of course, the importance of federal funding. Is there anything else about the program you'd like to tell our viewers before we sign off?
You know, I guess for me, again, what is great about the program is we are here to help improve individuals' living environments. We want to make it household-centric. We want to do the best we can for each individual family that we serve. We're here to align services, find as much as we can for each client that we deal with. So it's just very rewarding. It's very helpful to individuals and citizens throughout the city.
Well, thank you for your time today, Kim, and encourage anyone watching who may have questions to contact the Housing Department and put those questions. And thank you for watching City Channel Dubuque.